This is DevOps and Agile Way podcast.
Hello and welcome. We already discussed culture, we already discussed automation, and we discussed the whole concept of columns. In this episode, we'll go through the things and related elements for the third pillar, which is, I gave you a time to think about this, which is Lean. And of course, Lean is one of the core frameworks for Agile. And this is the really big connection between Agile and DevOps. What we need to remember that Lean didn't start it with Agile. We had the Lean approach for many years. And again, I will come back a little bit to the episode where we discuss things with Helen Beale. She mentioned something about the history of Lean there. So if you don't remember, please check it out. By the way, this was a very great episode. So yeah, go and listen to it. We have Lean software development approach, which is basically from the concept level historically the same. And DevOps is taking two elements basically from Lean. The first is we want to eliminate the waste. This is the very big concept in Lean. I don't want to go deeper into this right now because it's not an episode about Lean, but generally we have three types of waste. And the second part is that you will fail in some point and how we will learn after the fail. So it's about the increasing the quality, it's about the learning, it's about the, let's say, failing in the safe way. The general approach here is to optimize the value stream. And again, value stream is also the integral part of Lean. So we need to decrease or minimize work in progress, make the work visible, reducing waste, as I mentioned, reducing wait times, another type of waste, etc., etc. And this is the core of what we do. And honestly speaking, when I was involved in work as DevOps, I saw almost all the time that this part is completely cleaned up from the table. So DevOps work can be characterized as, let's call peaks and downs, okay? So there are times where we have a lot of work, and there are times when we do not. There are times where, for example, if there is only one or two people who do the DevOps work in the team, or the worst scenario in multiple teams, that we are overloaded. And really overloaded, right? So it's nothing about eliminating the waste. It's nothing about decreasing the work in progress, etc., etc., etc. So no one really cares, at least from this perspective, about Lean here. So we do not analyze why it happened. We do not properly plan our approaches. We do not properly plan our work. We do not consider this as something what may really slow down the whole development. And this is very important element. That's why we should incorporate Lean thinking. We should incorporate value stream mapping, value stream management even, especially in the bigger companies, into our daily work. Because first of all, we don't want our people to burn out. I hope at least. We don't want to. And we don't want, as a companies, as a managers, to create a situation where a lot of people, a lot of teams are waiting for one person or a couple of people to finish something because no one really planned their work correctly. And very often, the problem here, which I observe, is that we said multiple times that, agile teams are self-organizing, there is the whole knowledge in agile team to do the work, etc., etc. And generally, the agile team ends up with developers and testers. And no one really thinks about infrastructure, about the automation, etc., 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 about those elements which we, let's say, discussed last time. And I know that many of you right now will say, no, it's not true, we think about this, etc. And it is implemented properly. So this is not necessarily exact what I observed through many years of my career. The problem is, very often, the infrastructural work, the delivery work, is one of the last in the equation. We still are in better position than, for example, security guys, which are even out of the equation. So they are not even taken into consideration very often. I'm really happy to say that this perception is changing. We start to think about security. But very often when we plan the project, there is no or very little space for the DevOps work. And believe me, this work is huge. That's why we should have properly investigated and properly managed value stream. We should understand the amount of work. We should understand the bottlenecks in our processes. And also we should understand, no one really said about this in Lean in terms of DevOps, but this part is very much connected, what I want to say is very much connected to three elements: to culture, to Lean, and to the sharing, which I didn't mention yet. It's the feedback loop. How our feedback loops work in our environment, how quick they are, how effective they are, is very, very important to eliminate waste, to improve the process, to increase the quality. Those elements are very, very, very important. Okay, like in the previous examples, let's go to the measurements. As we said, Lean in scope of DevOps, generally we can say it's about understanding and improving organizational flow. So what we can measure there? Again, I can split it into three categories. One is work in progress, second is lead time, and the third is throughput. What we can measure? Work in progress, for example. So how much work is right now on our table. Work in process. It means how much work is in our table and waits for being on our table. What kind of queues we have. And now I'm not talking about RabbitMQ or something like that, but the queues of tasks in the chain. What kind of blockers we have. What is the lead time? What is the cycle time? What is the cost and resource utilization in our team, in our organization? For the individuals, then, we also can measure the work in progress. It will never be like this, that everyone has the same amount of work. We have different experience, we have different knowledge, we are on different levels, we have different responsibilities. What means really that we have different kind of queues, and work in progress and in process for us may be different. We can understand it, and may lead to the situation that one person will have like a very low amount of work and second will be really overloaded. Important element, which I don't think many of us think as part of the Lean approach, is what we do and how we do postmortems. So something happened, we should do some postmortem, root cause analysis. I will do in some time episode about this, because this is very important element. This is also part of the culture, part of the automation, really, part of the Lean, part of sharing. This approach is very important. The meaningful postmortems are critical to not only recover from the issues, but also to improve the learning process, improve the awareness what's going on. I'll finish this episode with postmortems and root cause analysis. And next time we will talk about measurements. We will also talk about how to measure measurements. This will be interesting. So stay tuned and see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of DevOps in Agile Way podcast with your host, Pavel Pivash. Subscribe, comment, and do not forget to check our next episodes. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Stay curious.